Good morning, everybody, and thank you for joining us this morning here. I'm going to go over a really exciting carrier and product lineup here with Unity Financial and Mr. John Enting. We are excited to have you guys on. In the interest of time, we're going to go ahead and get things started here. There are some folks still logging in, but we'll get them going. So, again, welcome. What we want to do at the beginning, there are a lot of folks on these webinars who are not familiar with IAMS. I know some of you are. We want to talk a little bit about our company, the ways that we help our advisors grow their business. We've got some really unique value propositions available here. So I want to talk first about our new producer builders. And as you can see, we have everything tiered out here based on production levels that you hit, and we give you a lot of different options. So this is all based on FIA production. If you're looking at life insurance premium, you can just do 1/10. So for example, 100,000 on the FIA side is 10,000 of target. And you can see on our new producer builders all the things you get as you hit each level. So simply for writing 100,000 of indexed annuity premium, you can get the most current iPad. You can get $750 in cash or postcard mailings. You jump up to the 250 level, we're talking a couple $1,000s in marketing reimbursement or a 3,000 piece mailer or gift card, etc. And you can see we just go on up through the tiers as we hit that 750 level. Now we're talking about a setup and 8 recorded shows with Retirement Boss Radio, or you could do a $4,500 lead credit, social media campaigns. I mean, the opportunities are endless here. So this is just our way of thanking you guys for writing business with us. Some other business builders or additional ways that we compensate and kind of attract our advisors or incentivize our advisors are through the referred producer program. So if you have somebody in the business that you refer to us and they get licensed with IAMS, we're going to give you $50. Once that referred producer sends in their first piece of business, we're going to tack on another $100 for you. And as they continue writing business, you can earn thousands of dollars in extra money from IAMS. So you can see here the percentages that we pay quarterly on that referral business. We do also have a really great marketing reimbursement program. So every $100,000 of FIA premium or $10,000 in target life, we're adding $100 to your marketing reimbursement account. You can see they actually, I apologize, they make it a little bit richer on the life side. It's $200 for every 10,000 a target and $200 for every 100,000 of single premium. So a little bit richer on the life side there, which is good for a guy like me. That's the department I work in. So keep in mind that marketing reimbursement account when working with us here. One of the things that you know about IAMS if you work with us, or you've heard about IAMS if you do not, is that we are second to none when it comes to back office support. A lot of IMOs and groups like ourselves will say this, but it's another thing to actually show you, and that's what we are really great at. So we do things to help you work smarter, not harder. So you can see the list of things that we have available here: business building tools and resources. Of course, your case design assistance, that's everything from your basic cases all the way up to the advanced markets designs. Access to forms and electronic applications through our website, paperless contracting, etc. So we've got all the tools you need to really help your business be as efficient and effective as possible. Tying into the EAP side of things, we have Firelight, which is available on the IAMS website. This is going to be primarily used for your annuity business. And so we're going to go through kind of a list of carriers that we have available on the Firelight platform, but this has been a game changer for us. So if you look here, most of the major players in the FIA space are going to be available on our Firelight platform, as you can see. And we do have a good list of carriers that are looking to join soon. So again, this is an electronic app platform that's available on our site for your annuity business. If you're writing life insurance business, the majority of that can also be submitted through our website using the IGO EAP platform. If you have questions about that, you can always give us a call. Also want to talk a little bit about the creative marketing solutions. We have the best creative team in the industry here. We can help with a lot of different things with your business. It just really depends on where you're at and where you want to go. We do have a lot of turnkey solutions that are available here. So they're ready to print, just need to get your agency's name and logo on there. And that includes things like newsletters, postcards, flyers, etc. If you're looking for agency solutions, which would be more of a fully customized branded materials, we can help with things like that. So logo design, business cards, stationery, etc. Again, our creative team is second to none. So if those are areas that you're looking for support in, please let us know. And then, of course, we do have digital solutions. So again, we can help create your business websites, digital marketing campaigns and strategies, online newsletters, etc. So we pretty much take care of everything you need on the marketing side. I also want to make sure to direct you guys to the IAMS website. A lot of advisors are not aware of all the tools we have there, even the ones that are using it on a daily basis. So I certainly encourage you when you log in there to look around and utilize the tools available. We have our term quote engine there. We have online forms. We have e-apps, all of the annuity, life, and LTC product details that you could possibly need. And of course, we're going to keep you up to speed on industry news through that site as well. One important piece of software that we also have available for our advisors is the Retirement Analyzer. I'm sure that many of you are familiar with this software. It is a great all-encompassing software, and really what it's designed to do, guys, is take a client's retirement plan out of their head and put it to the test. Everybody has an idea of where they're going to be in retirement, but few people actually crunch the numbers, and this software does a great job of doing that, illustrating any potential shortfalls if there are any, and allowing you as the advisor to fill in the solution there. So we do have the Retirement Analyzer available. We also have IAMS Wealth Management. IAMS Wealth Management is a great opportunity for advisors like yourself to increase revenue, improve client retention, and strengthen those relationships. So we have a wealth management division. If you're not familiar with them, please call the 800 number and talk to your marketer about them. I want to make sure you guys are taking care of taking advantage of all the solutions we have here, included that managed money side of things. I also want to highlight a couple of incentives that we have going on for IAMS here. The big one is the Top Producer Summit, as you can see here. The qualification period, we extended that here, so you have a nice long qualification period that ran from December 1st, 2020, and it goes all the way through June 30th of 2022. So we're kind of expanded that with everything that's been going on in the world. We want to give you guys a great opportunity to join us here. As you can see, this is going to be a great trip for our top producers. I'm going to be kicking off in Rome, and we'll end up the cruise there in Venice, Italy. 4 million points to qualify for that. If you have questions on the qualification, you can see the details at IAMSinc.com or call and talk to any of your sales directors about that. Also want to highlight an incentive that is going on with our partners at Athene. This is called the Escape to Paradise. This is going to be based on Athene annuity production, of course. But you can see the dates there. The invitation period is April 1st to December 31st of this year, and they're looking at a requirement of $2 million of annuity premium. Going to be going to Hilton Head, South Carolina, some of the most beautiful golf courses you will ever see. So you can see there's going to be some golfing, biking, hiking, shopping, lots of great opportunity there. So keep that in mind with your Athene annuity business. Another big thing that I would like to talk about are the life and annuity academies that we have coming up here. We have one scheduled for September. We are working on potentially doing another option later in the year, I believe early to mid-November. We'll get the details on that out to you guys. But if you are interested in learning about the Life and Annuity Academies and attending, I encourage you to visit our website. We have a section for that academy where you can go and register. We have a lot of folks that are anxious to get back out to trainings after the pandemic. So it's going to be a lot of folks interested. So if you would like to join us, I would encourage you to visit the website and get registered as soon as possible. You can find us on Facebook and LinkedIn here on our socials. You can see the addresses here. Certainly encourage you to follow us on both of these, and we put a lot of good information and content out there on a real consistent basis. If you have any questions on any of these things that I have covered, please feel free to call the 800 number, which I've posted here. It's 800-255-5055. Talk to your sales director. Be happy to cover any and all questions you guys have. Now, with that being said, guys, I'm not the main event here. I know a lot of you have seen the commercial before, but let's get to what we all came here for, and that is Mr. John Enting talking about Unity Financial, some of the great opportunities that we have available with this carrier. So with that, I am going to turn the control, if I can get this to work, over to John. And Mr. Enting, I believe you have control now, if you'd like to go ahead and get started.
That sounds perfect. Well, good morning to everybody, and thank you for taking your time out of your day to listen to the webinar. We're going to talk today about Unity Financial Life. The first thing I'd like everybody to know is that I am not a home office employee. I'm not sitting in a home office. I have a practice here in Columbus, Ohio. So everything I'm going to talk to you about, we are actually utilizing in our business. I am not able to move the slide there, Jess, so just so you know. But today what we're going to do is we're going to talk about why we want to use Unity Financial. We'll talk about the opportunity that exists in the marketplace. We'll talk about the trust that they offer to hold the assets, the product that we actually put the funds in that go into the trust, and then I'll try to give you some presentation ideas and tools that you can use immediately. So getting that started, yes.
Sorry to interrupt there. See if you can move the slide. I think I've got it fixed, and I don't want to interrupt you as you're getting into this here.
Yeah, I am not. For some reason, I cannot move it. Let's see here. Yeah, it's not letting me move it.
Okay. All right. I'll just kind of look, and I'll try to move it through for you. Okay.
That sounds fine. Yeah, I'm sorry about that. A little technical difficulty, but we'll be just fine. So we can go on to the next slide. Why Unity Financial? Unity Financial, obviously, we do our research. They're a very strong company financially. They specialize in this part of the industry. They're family owned and operated, and they're specializing in the irrevocable funeral trust and estate trust. And the reason for that is they're trying to help people protect their money from a Medicaid spend down. Everything is guaranteed issue, so we're not going to have any health questions. The application is very, very simple. It's one page in your state disclosure for replacement. Today, I'm going to talk about single premium because that's what we do here at Enting Financial Services. It's all we've ever done. We'll talk a little bit about an opportunity for 1035 exchanges that I think gets missed by a lot of advisors. And then, of course, we're going to talk about how we get paid for the product. So their financial stability, I'll let you take a look here. You can see their 10-year asset growth, their return on equity, and their stable outlook with their rating. All of these are things that are important because, again, when you're doing a program like this, the most important thing is that that company is there when you need them the most. And we have the full faith that Unity Financial is that company. If you look at their assets and their liabilities, you can see their surplus there. Their assets have increased by 461% since 2007. So we know they're on the right growth track. And again, we've done some business with them, and we're very excited about the future moving forward with Unity. So we all know life requires planning. That's the business that we're in. We know there's things that might happen, but there's also the inevitable, and the inevitable is eventually you're going to pass away. And just to kind of put that in perspective for you, you know, someone has to do the planning. Someone's got to have the final funeral planning done, and that's going to come down to one or two things. It's going to either be the deceased prior to when they pass away, or they're going to leave it to the survivors afterwards. And I have a little personal story for some of you that haven't been on here. I'll give you a little background on me. I'm the youngest of 5 kids. My mom and dad divorced when I was 2 years old, so I wasn't really close with my father. But I've always been the entrepreneur of the family. So whenever anything's going on, it's my phone that usually rings. And that's what happened to me on January 21st of 2011. I got a phone call from my sister that my dad had passed away. I found myself sitting down in a funeral director's office, and the funeral director was asking me questions like, what was my father's highest rank in the military? What was his favorite flower? Who were the pallbearers? These were just questions that I did not have the answers to. But what it did make me realize is that all these plans that we've done for the last 14 years for our clients is their kids or their spouses were not going to be in the position that I was in because we had done that planning already for our clients. So I got to learn the tough way that what we do has a lot of value to the people that we're doing it for. So there's a couple different ways you can prepay. You can go into a funeral home. That's called the pre-need side, where you go in and pick out all your stuff and prepay for it. Or you can use Unity Financial and just set the funds aside and be guaranteed that that money is going to be there when your clients need it the most. And that's really what we focus on when we're talking to our clients. Obviously, funerals are very expensive. We always ask our clients how much do they think a funeral cost, and we can tell you that that's running right now, at least in the Columbus, Ohio area, for a traditional funeral. It's running at about $15,000 to $16,000. So again, this is something that's going to happen eventually. Why not get the money put aside for it and know that that doesn't have to be dealt with any longer? And that's really what the opportunity is for the agents. They did a national survey. 72% thought it was a good idea to do the pre-planning for their funeral, but 64% had not taken the steps to do so. And we know your clients aren't any different than ours. We're working with the same people. But we can't believe a husband wakes up on a beautiful day and rolls over and looks at his wife and says, hey, let's go down and pick out our funeral and pick out our casket, because the human mind can really only comprehend its own demise for about 11 seconds, and then it moves on to something else. So many Americans have not prepaid their funeral, and that's what we're trying to move them in the direction to do. The market's huge. From 2010 until 2025, 80 million people were expected to file for Social Security benefits. And by 2025, there's going to be almost twice as many seniors as there were in 2010. And if we're all in that market, that is one heck of a prospect base that people are not talking to about this. And I think it's a good opportunity for advisors to, pick these dollars up while you have the opportunity and also do something that's very worthwhile for your client. So how do you start the conversation? We usually talk to our clients a little bit about long-term care. So we may ask them a question like, hey, do you have any long-term care coverage? As we all know, 93% of Americans have no long-term care coverage at all. A lot of the carriers are getting out of the marketplace for long-term care coverage. So we'll share with them what that average cost of care is. And I don't care if they've got $400,000, $500,000, that can get eaten up very, very quickly. And what we explain to them is that eventually the government is going to make you spend your money on your care until you're destitute, and then Medicaid is going to kick in and start paying the bills for you. So the nice thing about the Irrevocable Funeral Trust is that money is always protected from this type of a situation. So we're moving them down that path of talking about the long-term care and talking about preserving assets. So how's it all fit together? Really what we're doing is we're just using a life insurance policies and we're putting it into an irrevocable trust. So the clients are going to set those funds aside, and they're setting them aside permanently. This isn't money that they're going to go back and touch. And if they and when they are ready to plan the details, so let's say you have the money set aside, and 5 years from now the clients say, hey, we want to go to the funeral home and prepay. Well, they can go down there and talk to the funeral director and tell them, hey, we've already set the money aside. Help us understand how we can go ahead and do our prepay with the funeral home using the funds we have at Unity Financial. So again, by using that trust to hold the funds, we're going to spend down those assets and help them prevent them from being counted as a asset. So the trust itself, the benefits of planning with Unity Life and using the trust is, again, for the sake of time today, I'm going to talk about single premium. It's going to get 100% protection from the Medicaid spend down. It's not subject to the 5-year look back period. So they can, each spouse could put $15,000 away on each one of them and protect 30,000. They could do these on their kids, but that money will all be protected from a Medicaid spend down situation. The policies are then going to be irrevocably assigned to the Unity Financial Trust. They're going to get simple growth. I'm going to say something to you about this. When you see the interest rate that's paid by the company, it's low. Interest rates are low everywhere, but this is not about growing the money. This is about protecting the money. And you're going to want to stress to the client, the funeral home or the mortuary is going to be paid first. Any remaining money in the irrevocable funeral trust will have to go back to the estate of the insured or the deceased, because we gave up that ownership of the money to protect it from a Medicaid spend down, and they do have the right for any money that's left in the estate to go after it for estate recovery. That's why I would tell you, have a good conversation with your client. Are you going to have a traditional funeral? If you're not and you're going to be cremated, maybe we don't need 15,000. Maybe we only need 5,000, because we really don't want anything left in there if possible after the client has deceased and we paid the funeral home. So again, we're going to protect that money from nursing homes, creditors, and then the policy benefits are all going to pay out 100% income tax exempt. So how does the trust compare to traditional savings instruments? If you look at this slide here, and I'm not going to read every line to you, but we're looking for a yes in all the columns. And if you look at this and compare it against where people may have their money set aside for their final expenses, you can see that the irrevocable funeral trust is the only thing that's going to get a yes in every single one of those boxes. So what we're going to do is we're going to give that client the safety and security that 100% of their money is going to be there when they need it. It's portable. What do I mean by that? If you go prepay at a funeral home here in Columbus, Ohio, and your grandkids move to Florida, your kids with your grandkids, and you decide that's where you're going to go and follow them, well, you could have an issue. You've prepaid your funeral here, and now maybe you're going to be having your funeral in Florida. With this plan, it can go anywhere. You don't name a specific funeral home. You just take it into any funeral home of your choice when the time is needed, and they're going to honor the contract. So again, we're not picking merchandise. We're not picking a funeral home. We're just setting the funds aside. Jess, obviously now I can control this. So,
okay, I'll let you take over here.
Okay. So again, and here's another thing to point out to a client, because a lot of clients will say, well, you know, I have a life insurance policy. Well, that's awesome. Life insurance policies are great. Annuities are great. But when you pass away, what do you got to have to get those funds? You got to have a death certificate. You got to get a claim form. That's a 2, 3, sometimes 4-week process. And the funeral home wants their money immediately before the showing. So again, these are assets that are going to be there when your client needs them the most. So how's the trust work? In simplicity, I'm going to use an example of $15,000. If we were to take $15,000 for a client, we would put it into the Unity plan, and that plan is going to maybe give the client $15,250 of a starting death benefit. What's going to happen is we're going to take that policy once it's been issued, and it's going to get assigned to the irrevocable funeral trust 30 days later. Now, what's going to happen after that is that when the client passes away, the funeral provider is going to get paid within 48 hours. So how we do it here at Inting Financial Services is if somebody passes away, we're going to ask them, what funeral home are you using? Give me a contact number for the funeral home. We're going to reach out to them and get a fax number from them. We're going to call Unity. We're going to say, hey, here's the client contract number. Here's the fax number for the funeral home. Here's your contact. And then we're out of it. They're going to fax directly to the funeral provider, and they're going to get that funeral provider paid within 48 hours. Again, if there are any excess funds, they will have to be paid back to the estate. So comparison of the trust, there's two different trusts at Unity, so I want to make you aware of that. There's the Irrevocable Funeral Trust. This gives you immediate protection of those dollars from a Medicaid spend down situation. So I have an elder law attorney that I work with down the street. He may call me and say, hey, John, I've got a couple. I'm trying to get qualified for Medicaid at the beginning of next month. Can you come down here and put $15,000 into a funeral trust for each one of them? And certainly I will do that for him. So he's looking just to get that asset protected immediately. But sometimes you'll have a client who maybe they want to just leave a specific amount of money to a church or a charity or their children. Then you can put up to $85,000 into the Unity Estate Trust. And what's going to happen with that is it's going to have a 5-year look back period. But I will tell you, I've done this with a few clients. We are already through the 5-year look back period, and their money is 100% protected. If they go into a nursing home tomorrow, that nursing home is not going to be able to touch that couple $100,000 that's laying in there. And then again, that policy gets assigned to the trust. The difference is when you pass away, we do have a beneficiary for that money. So it does not go back to the estate. It goes directly to the named beneficiary. So I am usually at the IAMS Academy. Let's see here. There we go. And I will get the question when I'm presenting of, John, which trust do I use? So it's pretty simple. Funeral expense trust is great for crisis planning, like I just explained with the elder law attorney. Maybe you have a client that has some money. Maybe Medicaid's possible within 5 years. Maybe they're paying for a spouse right now that's in care, and they know that they're going to be running out of their money. Well, that's a great opportunity to get the money for their final expenses protected immediately. And then again, you know, we bring on a lot of new clients through our marketing, and we always ask them, hey, have you prepaid your funeral? If they tell us no, we explain the benefits. And a lot of those clients, they just want the money protected today. They want to know it's put away and that they don't have to deal with that anymore. But then you have the estate planning trust. This may be a situation where I say to a client, hey, have you prepaid your funeral? And they might say, oh, yeah, we went down to Sheddinger Funeral Home and prepaid. Then I'm going to ask them this question. Do you have any money that you would like to know has the possibility to be protected from the nursing home in the event you would need care, and that you would want to go to a specific children charities? And if that's the case, then I'm going to talk to them about the estate planning trust, explain the 5-year look back period, but get that clock ticking for them so that we can get as much money protected as possible. So we're going to talk a little bit about the product that we use itself, and this is going to be the life plan that we're going to put the money into with Unity Financial. So we're going to again focus on the single pay. Their minimum issue is $500, maximum is $15,000. I know there's a lot of people on here from all over the country. I'll show you a little state specific form here in a minute. But again, single premium, minimum issue age 10, maximum issue age 99. If you go over to the estate planning trust, minimum issue 2,000, maximum 85,000. The minimum issue age on the estate planning trust is 50, and the maximum is going to be 90. So again, we're going to put that money into the single premium. We're going to get that little bump up in the face amount. We're going to get a growth factor that's accruing tax-free when it's paid out, and that's how we're going to arrive at our initial death benefit. So here's the rates for the estate planning trust. From age 50 to 75, it's a 0.5 point. For the funeral trust, from age 10 to 80, it's 0.25. Now I'm going to say something to you. I always ask the client, have you prepaid your funeral? No. Well, if something were to happen to you today, how would your funeral be paid for tomorrow? And then I'm going to listen to the answer. And a lot of times they'll say something like, well, you know, I've got these old paid up life policies, or I have a CD over at the bank. Well, if you have a CD at the bank, or you have the old life policies and you get sick and you need long-term care, they're going to make you spend that down. They're going to make you spend your cash value. They're going to make you liquidate your CD. This way, we can move it over and get that money protected again, so it's there when that client's family needs it the most. And if you don't like paperwork, you're going to absolutely love doing business with Unity. They've made it so simple. It's literally a one-page application with your disclosure, whether you're using the Irrevocable Funeral Trust or the Estate Planning Trust. Now, I like to tell a little story about when I first got in the annuity business back in 1993. I sold my first annuity to a guy that owned a dry cleaner in Marion, Ohio. Two things happened that day. Number one, I couldn't believe somebody was going to let me walk out with a $25,000 check. And number two, my application for the annuity was 3 pages long, and the last page was the receipt. Obviously, if you're in the financial world today and you're doing life insurance, annuities, whatever it is you're working on, you know that the paperwork has become very cumbersome. With this plan, it's literally 10 minutes with the client. You've got everybody complete. You've got everything completed, and I'm even building in time for them to write you the check. So that's going to be the application. You're both going to sign off on the application. Very simple. And then this is what your irrevocable assignment's going to look like. It's either going to be for the funeral trust, or it's going to be for the estate planning trust. I'm going to say something about this. I've been doing these plans for 14 years. Any client I write a plan on, I tell them, this is an irrevocable plan. The money does not come out until you pass away. Do not call me to borrow off of it. Do not call me to cash it in. Do not call me to use it as collateral. You cannot do any of those things. It is set aside for your final expenses. I have never had one client call me asking me to get money out of one of these plans, because I set the tone for that early, because that's how the plan works. So what does it cover? You can see here that everything that you're going to need to complete a funeral is pretty much, you can pay for it out of the Irrevocable Funeral Trust. So I'm going to give you some state limits here, and you can see, and I'll give you a couple ideas or a couple opinions actually on if it were me and I was working in a state where the number was low for the funeral trust. So let's go to Nebraska, where IAMS is located. You can see on here that they can do $4,978 into the Irrevocable Funeral Trust. Well, if I'm meeting with a client and they said, hey, we're going to do a traditional funeral, and I know it's going to be $15,000, I'm going to say to them, hey, in Nebraska, you're only allowed to put $4,978 in that will be excluded immediately from a Medicaid spend down. But we both know you need 15,000. So let's take the other 10 and put it into the estate planning trust. Yes, it has a 5-year look back period, but we all know how quick 5 years goes by, and you're going to need it anyway. And it's the best place for you to put the money for your final expenses. So if you see you have a lower number, or you can't write it at all in your state, then use the estate planning trust. The one caveat on here, if you are from Pennsylvania, they actually work by county for the amount that you're allowed to put in. So when you're presenting it to clients, it's like anything else. When I sold that first annuity back in 1993 and I picked up that $25,000 check, that was a huge deal for me. I didn't know much about annuities. I was just getting started in the business. You know, today someone will slide a check across for $250,000 and we don't even think about it. It's not because we're the smartest people, it's repetition. We've been doing this year after year after year. So I always recommend to anybody that's not familiar with this, that start with annual reviews. Think of all the clients that you have that are really good clients of yours, and if you go out to see them, you start it like this. Hey, Mr. and Mrs. Jones, would you agree that everything I've recommended to you so far has worked out pretty much the way that we intended it to? Well, you know the answer to that question is going to be yes. And then you say, I had the opportunity to learn about something that I don't think we've addressed. I have a question for you. Have you prepaid your funeral? If they tell you no, that is an open spot to start talking about the plan. If they tell you yes, then you're going to want to say to them, do you have a specific amount of money that you want to make sure, or at least have the opportunity, does not get taken by a nursing home in the event you need care, that you would like to go to your children or a specific charity? And they're going to give you the answer to that question, and that'll kind of lead you where your presentation is going to go at that point. But we never deviate. We stress the benefits of planning ahead. We tell them it can be used with any funeral home. And the important thing about that is, I don't know where you're all at all over the country, but I do know you're everywhere. Just Google in your local area, get on your Google machine and put, funeral home with prepay money missing. And I'm not saying every funeral home, but there are a lot of them out there that misappropriated the funds, and those articles are out there. Again, it's not anything to make your sales presentation about, but it is a valid point that if an insurance company is holding the money, that money is 100% safe and secure, is going to be there when you need it the most. The other thing is the 1035 exchange on existing life insurance. How many times have people brought out those old life insurance policies for you to look at, and they smell musty because they've been in the box? Do you know that most of your clients don't understand that when they die, they don't get the cash value and the death benefit? They only get the greater of the two. So as an example, if I had a client that had $12,000 in death benefit and $10,000 in cash value in a contract, I'm going to point out to them, if you get sick and go to a nursing home, they're going to have you spend this cash value down. And really, you only have about $2,000 of life insurance here, because the $10,000 is your money. It's your cash. So why don't we protect the $10,000, 1035 exchange it over to the Irrevocable Funeral Trust, and make sure again that that money is there when you need it the most. So again, we get paid in this business to present, make sure it's good for the client, and then close the sale. And if you can give your client that peace of mind of knowing that they've planned ahead and that their funds are protected, you're doing your job as an advisor. So where do I find the money? The money's everywhere. I gave you an example. It's not uncommon for someone to say that about, well, I have a CD at the bank and my daughter knows if I pass away, that's what we're using the money for. Well, that's great, but let's protect it. Let's get it off of the countable side for a long-term care stay and put it to the uncountable side. Again, money markets, annuities, 10% penalty-free withdrawals. Do I have to pay the taxes if I take out a 10% penalty-free withdrawal? Absolutely. My next question is, the way our government's spending money, do you think taxes are going to be higher or lower in the future? Your answer every time from a client's going to be higher. Great. Then let's do a little tax planning too and pull this money out, pay the taxes on it, and get it over where we can get it protected. The money's there. You just need to ask them for the money. So the marketing materials with Unity, once you're licensed through IAMS, you'll have access to their website. They do a fantastic job with their website, anything that you would need down to your brochures. And they're they're written in layman's terms. And the reason I know that, I had a client that's close to my office here, and I went out to meet with them. They had a couple old policies, and my numbers could be off a little bit, but not much. But they had about 80,000 in cash value, and I think the death benefit was about 95. And so we talked about it. I went through my presentation. I said, hey, we need to get this money, get it moved over, get it protected. And she looked at me and she said, John, I'm going to tell you something. We don't make any decisions on the first appointment. We like to sleep on it. And I told her, yes, and you know me, I do not mind you sleeping on it, but I'm going to call you tomorrow at 1 o'clock. I want you to read the brochure, and I want to get an answer, yes or no, what we're going to do moving forward. True story, the next morning, 9 o'clock, my phone rang. She said, hey, we slept on it. We got up, we reread the brochure. Let's get an appointment and get this thing done. So we ended up doing the deal with them. So the brochure is a great leave behind piece. But this might be my favorite piece. If my dad had had a plan with Unity, and my dad had had this planning guide filled out, I could have walked in, handed them the Unity policy, handed them the planning guide, and they could have taken care of everything for my dad's funeral. As a matter of fact, if you didn't know my dad, which you don't, and you had to do his funeral, you could have taken this document and the contract in there, because everything the funeral director is going to want to know is in this planning guide. My mentor told me very early in my career that if you want to keep a client engaged when you make a sale, leave them a task, keep them engaged. So when we do a plan, we leave this planning guide that's supplied to you by Unity, and we tell them, hey, before we come back with your contract, we need you to complete this planning guide. And Mrs. Jones, if I'd never met you before, if you get this completed fully, I could go in and take care of all your funeral expenses, your plans, without the stress of having to make decisions for you. So again, it's a great tool. We encourage every one of our clients to use it. It's available to you on the Unity portal. So you can see here, once you get there and you get logged in, it's pretty much going to give you the opportunity to go anywhere on the site and be able to get anything that you need to do business with Unity. So why start today? I've already given you the numbers. Your clients need it. They're thinking about it. They just need to be motivated into action like anything else that we do for them. Great income opportunity. The trusts are free. The elder law attorney down the street from me, he does irrevocable planning on a bigger scale for clients. And you got to write him a check for $7,500 to sit down at the table. That's just to get the party started. This, you can protect a limited amount of funds, and the trusts are free. They're totally portable. You're going to get that peace of mind for your clients. If you don't like paperwork, again, you'll love doing business with Unity, and they have a good commission structure as well. So again, learn it, know it, get out and talk to your clients about it, and then you're going to increase your bottom line. I had a great mentor in this business, and he also told me, don't rely on one income stream in your business. It's the first thing that will lead you to failure. So if you can look at it as just another way to increase revenue into your business, I guarantee you, if you could do 2 couples a month, and I'm only putting you working 10 months a year with a couple months off, that's the beauty of our business, to be able to utilize our time the way we want. You could add another 60,000 to your annual bottom line, and there's nothing wrong with that. For just asking somebody a simple question, have you prepaid your funeral? So here's what the commission schedule looks like, and I'm going to use the 66 to 70 age. It's at 13.5%. So if you went out, you met with a couple, they each wanted to fund the $15,000, and you're just out doing an annual review, you're going to make about $4,000 just helping that client literally. And we will say this to them, you're not even buying anything. Think about it, you're not. You're taking money that's countable that you already have for a nursing home spend down, and you're just shifting it over so that it's protected and not countable. That's a powerful statement to a client when they realize they're really not buying anything. They're going to get issued automatically, and we're going to show them how we can protect that money. So Unity has a agent fast start. I see a lot of agents picking this money up. 25,000 face amount in the funeral trust in your first 30 days of appointment. They'll send you a couple hundred extra dollars. All of your production is going to count towards the IAMS cruise, which I'm very excited about. And I will say something to you, if you're on this call and you end up making this cruise with IAMS or the one that's going to Hilton Head, my mentor, again, always told me, seek out the top producers. They'll tell you what they're doing in their business to be successful, and then take a couple of those things back and implement them into your business. That's how I got to where I am today, off of the back of others who were willing to share what they do to be successful in their business. So overcoming the challenges, remember, it's okay to ask. Your clients know that they need to pre-plan. You just need to push them forward. Stress those benefits of pre-planning. I had a guy come up to me at one of the IAMS agent academies, and he said, John, I don't know how to say this to you because I don't think there's a right way, but man, I wish I had your story about your dad dying. And I said, well, you do. You just tell my dad's story, but tell him you have a friend whose father didn't have his planning done, and he ended up having to make all these decisions, and it was a very stressful and difficult time, especially at a time when you've just lost somebody that you care about. So again, don't forget to ask every client, every day, every time. It's a very simple question. Have you prepaid your funeral? So when do I get paid? Commissions are processed weekly. They run the accounting on Monday morning, and everything is deposited into your account on Tuesday. Obviously, we all know what Cash with App is. You can always go on the Unity website to see your production and see how they're coming along on getting your policies issued. Support services. This is a unique thing with Unity, and I don't know of any other company, but you have direct access to all company management, all the way up to the president. So if there's something you didn't like, or a question you had, or a deal you were trying to get done that you weren't happy with the answers you were getting, you can certainly go to company management. They're a great team. We've relied on them exclusively with Unity, and they've done a great job for us. Again, take advantage of their brochures and their flyers, and then you have online access to your production, your policy status, and your commission information. So this is something I'm going to share with you as we get to conclusion here. I'm going to tell you a story of why I created it, and it's called A Guide for Beneficiaries. And the reason I created this guide was about 7 years ago, I got a phone call in my office from a client's daughter, and we had about a $500,000 annuity on the mom. And the daughter called me and she said, "Oh, John, I just wanted to let you know that mom passed away." And I said, "Okay, I'm sorry to hear that. Get through what you need to get through, because we're going to need to meet and talk about this annuity." She was the sole beneficiary. And she said to me, "Oh, John, don't worry about it. I've already talked to the guy down at the bank. We've known him a long time. He's going to take care of everything for us." And I quickly realized that my inaction had just cost me a $500,000 leaving that company that I had worked hard to bring on. So I said, I'm not going to let that happen anymore. And I created this guide for beneficiaries. Once you're licensed through IAMS with Unity, we'll make this available to you so that you can put your company logo and information on it. But let me tell you what happened. We created the guide, which I'll show you in a minute, and we went out and we gave it to all of our clients. Every one of our clients were so appreciative. They're like, "Wow, this is awesome for my kids or for my spouse." But what it allowed us to do was collect new data on them. So we updated everything, their financials, their kids' information. And what we found is even our best clients don't tell you everything, because what ended up happening for us is over a 6-month period, we picked up a little over $1.5 million in annuity premium. We picked up a couple $100,000 in traditional single life insurance, and about $150,000 in irrevocable trust business. And again, it wasn't anything that we're the smartest, but we did understand utilizing this guide in the household is going to make a huge difference for us. And just letting you know that we usually get a call, we'll get 6-7 calls a year off the guide, but last September, we got a call from one of our clients. She said, "Oh, my dad's got your guide here, and the first thing that it said to do on here was call you guys." True story. We went out, we did all of our stuff over the phone, then we went and met with the client, and we picked up $1 million, and every bit of it came from the beneficiary guide. So again, it's real simple. We've done it nice. It just tells them we want them to call us first. That's the first call they need to make, because we want to be in control of where those funds go. So we've created a letter here, and again, all you would have to do is just go in and put your company name into it. But the letter really means something to the client. They know that we appreciate their business. We have a team of professionals around us. We have the experience to help them get everything done, and that's what their family had asked us to do for the beneficiaries. So this is going to be the organizer for collecting all the new data, but I want you to understand, in that beneficiary guide, it's a packet of probably, I don't have it in front of me, but yes, I actually do. It's probably 10 pages that tells them this is what you need to do first. You need to find the lockbox. You need to cancel the credit cards. Here's letters that you need to send to the pension company, to the credit card company, to Social Security. These are already there for them so that they have a guide on what they need to do. And one of the first things it says in there, again, it reiterates that they need to call and set a meeting up with us. So we're providing you everything that you would need to be able to go out and meet with this client, update all their financial information. Again, you're going to be surprised at what you find out when you're asking these detailed questions. But if you can see question 8, it says, have you prepaid your funeral? If they tell me no, I'm not going to launch into a sales pitch, but I'm certainly going to circle back with them. And if they tell me yes, I'm going to say, do you have any money that you would like to have the opportunity to protect from a nursing home, spend down, and leave to a specific child or a charity? Again, you're going to get good answers here, and you're going to be able to come back and pick up business with the client. The last page is just some notes for them and the organizer. Again, this can all be made available to you once you've got your contracting through Unity, through IAMS. And that is going to do it for me unless we have any questions out there.
Hey, John, we did have a question from
Sure.
earlier in the presentation. It says, I have a number of dual citizenship clients. Does the funeral trust cover expenses outside of the United States?
No.
Okay. That is the only question I see popping up right now. I'll keep an eye out for a couple more here, but while we are waiting, I've got a couple of poll questions that I would certainly like to get answered by as many of you as I can. So we'll just launch those real quick. We'll give you guys each a couple minutes to answer. And again, if you guys do have other questions while these polls are going on, feel free to type them in and I will ask those to John. He's got all the answers from what I've been able to tell. So this is a good time to ask if you got them. All right. All right, so we're going to close this one. I've got just another one or two questions for you guys. Okay, should be another one coming up for you. And the main thing I would always reiterate, guys, I know we cover a lot of information in these webinars, and we certainly appreciate Mr. Enting jumping on, but we also get that there'll be questions that pop up later on. And what I would encourage you to do is call any of your sales directors here at IAMS with those questions. We will certainly make sure we get those answered for you. And if it is something that's a little more detail oriented, we will absolutely get with John because again, he's definitely the subject matter expert here. All right, so we're going to close that one. Just have one more question for you guys. Should be coming out here. We'll just give everybody just a little bit of time to answer that poll question. And John, I'm not seeing any others pop up in the question box. So again, guys, I know there are some things that are going to come about when we are done. As those questions come up, please feel free to give us a call. We will be happy to get those answered for you. With that being said, I'm going to go ahead and close the poll. Mr. Enting, is there anything that you would like to close with, sir?
Well, I would just like to say, hey, thanks everybody for hanging in there on the webinar. If you do have any questions, reach out to IAMS. They usually know the answers. If it's anything that they don't, they'll reach out to me. And if I don't know it, I'll reach out to the top management, but we'll get it answered for you. Again, just thanks for taking your Monday morning to hear what we had to say, and I hope you have a great week.
All right. Thank you, everybody. We'll look forward to talking with you all very soon.